Hello there, my lovelies. Today I wanted to change things up a little and I wanted to show you this really cool book that I bought last week. As many of you know, I am a massive fan of fantasy art, so this book is perfect for me. It has a lot of very good tips for beginners, so if you're interested in starting to draw fantasy art, this is a good book. But it also has a lot of inspirational images and techniques for people much like me who have been drawing fantasy art for a while. So it's a good all-round book. But I wanted to share it with you today, and I know many of you like the sound of paper and page turning, so I thought I would incorporate that into this video. So let's begin. This is drawing for fantasy artists. All the art techniques and shortcuts you need to master fantasy art. So, obviously I'm a very visual person and the front cover really captured me. I just love her face. So, I'm very drawn to books with pretty covers. I know that's probably not the best way to shop for books, but okay. So on the front here we have some very unusual creatures. They look like they are mice in the shape of moons with wings. I just love all these little unusual sketches. Okay, just move that over so you can see about this book. Chapter 1, starting to draw. Chapter 2, picture making techniques. Chapter 3, anatomy. And Chapter 4, concept and characters. Chapter 1, starting to draw. Will you use pencil or charcoal, felt tip pen or brush, Mac or PC, pen on vellum or a finger in the sand? Are you inspired by music, fashion, literature? Will you seek reference material in the wide world or in the world inside your computer? However you choose to bring your fantasies to life, It pays to have a varied toolbox. It's very true. When I want to get inspired for my fantasy work, I watch films, I read comic books, and I play video games, and they all inspire me, as well as nature and the outside world. So you can really start anywhere. So these pages here are about different pencils and graphite tools you can use, and different techniques in how you shade and draw your lines. Fine liners, ink pens, and even biros. I've drawn in biro before, so you can really use pretty much anything that makes a mark. Looking further on, this is the digital part of the book, which talks about how to do line work and colouring and shading for digital graphic drawing. And this is where they were talking about inspiration. So this is a picture from a fashion shoot, and then various pictures around the world of natural things. Using photographs and imagery. Here is Our Lady, who is on the front cover. Drawing from still life. I love this image here, with the little dragon on top. Chapter 2, Picture Making Techniques. Learn to understand the world in terms of light and shadow, texture and pattern, shape, form, and perspective. Once you've put aside what you think you see in favour of what's really there, you can set to work hanging the trappings of imagination on the framework of reality. Okay, so again we've got down here different techniques of making lines. This part is talking about light and shadow, how to create it and what illusions you can make. It has several boxes on each page on tips to becoming a better artist, which is really useful. So this is about textures and patterns, so drawing cloth, wood, fabric, furs, foliage, all the little details that build up a piece. how to capture movement, mood and atmosphere. This is one of my favourite things to do. So this talks about capturing a moment or a feeling when you look at a piece. Using reference images to help build up your piece, and backgrounds. This is probably the chapter I should be reading. I tend to work a lot in foreground and I don't really think about adding a background to many of my pieces. This is composition and placement of where you put certain items or objects in your piece. Subverting reality. So this is where it starts to get really interesting. And you start to blend a mixture of different things. I do this occasionally when I'm drawing people as trees, for example. This is very much where the fantasy element comes in. Then we have perspective. Okay. Drawing the human figure. Drawing clothes, cloth and draping. Movement, facial features. My favourite part is always drawing the eyes. I love drawing eyes. They can say a lot about a character by their eyes. As you can see here, so we have different expressions on their faces. Hands and feet. So again, working with the human body. Once you've grasped the basics, you can then start to really experiment with figures. So this is looking at different fantasy anatomy, because not every creature is going to be the same. Now we're looking at animals. So we have some birds on here, some insects, some reptiles. Again, mixing different things together. So the mice at the start of the book, which I thought looked like little moons, are actually a mixture of a rat, a parrot, and a pufferfish. So there you go. We have pufferfish mice. But you could try this at home. Take 3 animals and mix them together in a drawing. That could be quite cool. Chapter 4. Concept and characters. So I think I might have skipped chapter 3 slightly, but if you happen to get your hands on this book, you can have a look for yourself. Storytelling and planning. Some little sketches there. Depth and context. So if you're drawing a character, for example, maybe they have a backstory. I find that it makes the creative process flow a lot easier once I have a concept for a character and a backstory. So it gives them a bit more, that's something extra, I think. It really flushes out the character, and then you can start to pick up references for your character. So the clothes they wear, what point in history are you pulling reference from? Do they have any family? Maybe they're wearing armour and they have a family crest on it, or an emblem. Maybe they come from a long history of a certain type of people. So it can all add to that particular character. Now I've come to robots. Here we have a robot in what looks like a boat. So these are different concepts from the artist that wrote this book. So here we have the bird queen, which looks very similar to a harpy, I think. A troll. Man. So this is what I was explaining a moment ago. The sources of inspiration for his outfit was King Henry, by the looks of it. So they've drawn inspiration from his clothing to give this toad a more regal effect. Love this one, Lady Death. This is my sort of thing. I like fairies and things that come from nature. Wow, I love the colours on this piece. This is also a favourite technique of mine, of doing a watercolour background and then drawing on top. It's very effective for making really fine art looking pieces. Okay, then we have the index and the little lady on the back. This practical guide to drawing fantasy shows how to turn the workings of your imagination into art, how to draw fantasy worlds, characters and creatures, while teaching you essential skills along the way. So this book is by Sokar Miles, I think that's how you pronounce it. As a fantasy artist who enjoys exploring the weird and quirky side of fantasy illustrations. There we go. So it sounds right up my street. So I'm going to take my book now and gather some inspiration for some more drawing. As promised, I will put a picture at the end of the video of my piranha plant, as requested by some of you. If you haven't seen my Geeky Makes piranha plant video, I'll put a link in the description box so you can check that out. But for now, I will say a fond farewell to you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.